Tuka High School is a great place. I had my friends, I could say strangers or like my student peers people I never met. Everyone was backing me. Every time I talked to someone, they were like, you can do it, you'll be okay. And from there, I had the ability to really question why I was doing it. And the same way I was able to critically think, the people who also critically thought and asked me these questions like, oh, why it's like what you're doing right now, like why do you want to do it? Why? It really helps me reflect and think, why do I want to do it? High school is a great place because you have so much more time. Like we take time for granted. Yeah. And I think a lot of people in high school think, oh, I just want to be an adult, or I just want to go to work. I don't want to be in high school anymore. And we take
I don't want to be an adult anymore.
We take that time we should take that time so for granted because it's so special. Like you make the best childhood memories, you think the best, you develop the best. Everything you do, you can do it with a purpose. Like you can learn a new language and not have as many difficulties. You can learn a new sport. Like it's such a precious time that people don't value enough, and I think it really helped. My time at Wakatipu High School really helped me now, and I'm very grateful for.
Now, we always start with a gift. So, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks
for having me.
It's great to have you. I hope you like it. I have a small introduction, so if you will. I went after your small list of achievements here and a small list of things, and I had your parents to help me out with this one here, but well, it starts this way. It's Manuella Sanchez Pedrosa, right?
Yeah.
We're born here in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yes. Daughter of Brazilian parents, which is great. I want to hear from that. But in 2025, you have at least 6 achievements, which if I compare to 2024, you have double that. And if you go back 2023, you have even more. So I won't, give the time to go through that. Any particular achievement that you got in 25 that is quite relevant for us just to highlight now?
I am the head girl of Wakatipu High School.
That's the one. Cool. We're going to go into that.
Yeah.
Amazing. And obviously, you are into sports, which is how we kind of connected, before your parents. I'm good friends of your parents, but you're into ice hockey, you're into rugby, you're into touch rugby. I didn't see jiu-jitsu here. Are you in jiu-jitsu before?
Yeah, I did lots of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah?
Mainly when I was younger. I've kind of moved on from that now, kind of specializing in one area. But yes, I did a lot of jiu-jitsu.
And ice hockey is your favorite?
Yes, ice hockey is by far my favorite. I've tried doing like softball and rugby and touch rugby and all that, but ice hockey definitely has my heart.
Nice. Nice one. You're a member of the under 18 national ice hockey team for women.
Yeah.
Amazing. You've been to Europe playing?
Yes, I've been to Bulgaria and Latvia before, where we played lots of different teams. We had like Netherlands, Kazakhstan, Chinese Taipei, England, so many different countries.
Did you win?
We came this year in Latvia. We came 5th. Out of 6 teams, so bottom tier, but it's pretty good for a small country like New Zealand because we struggle to like keep up with the bigger countries. Like a lot of them go to hockey academy or do that every single day, whereas New Zealand is a bit limited because we're so spread apart in the country. But yeah, we did all right.
Yeah,
good enough.
What's the best team out there? What's the best country for ice hockey?
Honestly, it depends whether it's women, men's, but probably Canada because most people there play ice hockey. Or America's very good. I was actually really shocked to find out Kazakhstan was very, very good.
I was going to ask about Russia.
Yeah, when we played them, I don't know why I thought they were going to be bad or like not as good, but they were honestly incredible. Like all their girls are so talented. So many of the U18 women also play for the women's team, so they like have pretty much one big team.
Yeah.
And we also played Mexico, which I was surprised because it's like hot, you know, and a bit tropical. But they were also like very good. Kind of the same as New Zealand, a bit, you know, iffy, but still played very well.
So help me out to figure this one out. I heard that ice hockey is the most violent game out there. Is it true? The reason I'm asking you is because I had friends from Canada.
Yeah.
They were really into that.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where you can fight in the middle of the game. Is that right?
Yeah. For men's, you can. Women's is a bit tailored, like a little bit down. We are allowed to have body contact, but we're not allowed a body check, which means we can't really like push people into the boards and like, I don't know, break their teeth and stuff. Actually, 2 seasons ago, we had one of the girls like completely start a fight and drop their gloves and start punching and going at it. This season, we had one girl on my team who got very angry and frustrated, and she just lost it. Also just started punching. But I'd like to say I'm very calm on the ice and try to keep my peace with the other teammates. But some people definitely get very angry, and it can get aggressive.
Such an amazing sport, you know, it's so different.
It's very expressive. I must say, like you can express yourself on the ice very well, and if you're angry, you can really show that without like fear of getting, I don't know, in trouble.
And the level of skills that is necessary to be involved in that kind of game is just so amazing. Like, I've been to a few of your games and a couple games that you played here with the Wild.
Yeah.
And you know, just the skating and the you know, the level of practice and skills that you have to develop there is just.
I'm very grateful to have done figure skating when I was younger. I actually got into it because at Queenstown Primary School at QPS, they do like a skating course. So when you're year 1 and 2, so like around 5 or 6 years old, they take you to the ice rink and you do like skating lessons and whatever. And then I like absolutely fell in love with it, kept on going, begged my parents to like go to the ice rink every weekend. And then I got really into figure skating. And obviously it's like dancing on the ice and you have to have really good skating skills. So when I moved to ice hockey at like the age of 11 maybe, I was really lucky to already have the skating skills and only have to learn the stick handling, which I thought was going to be easier, but it's not really. It's still really hard. So
it should, like, for example, when I came to New Zealand, I think I was 23, and I remember going into snowboarding. Yeah. And I used to watch those guys. They're so easy. I can skateboard, so that's easy. Yeah. It's not. No. And when you see ice hockey, you can't say, oh, that's easy. No, you know straight away it's hard. Yeah. No, it's definitely on the harder side. But once you get it, you kind of got it, you know? It's like kind of similar to snowboarding. You fail lots of times and you fall over all the time. But once you kind of get the basics, it's like easy to progress from there. But yeah. Oh, there we go. Look at that.
That's back when I used to love just skating around and doing nothing.
That's here in Queenstown?
Yeah, I had hockey skates on then, but I can imagine at that time I would have been leaning more towards figure skating just because they have like different skates. But yeah, I loved being on the ice. Yeah.
It's so amazing. It's so amazing, especially for coming from a Brazilian culture. Obviously, you were born here, but you know, with parents and people from Brazil surrounding you all the time, sometimes you're more pushed to play soccer or volleyball or stuff that we in Brazil would practice.
My mom thought I was crazy when I wanted to spend my time in the cold rink, and like my fingers would be freezing, my toes were freezing, and she was just like, oh my gosh, it's so cold in here, like I don't know how you do it. I think Dad always really liked the idea of it because I don't know, he likes dancing and like music and all that. So when I got into figure skating and doing that type of stuff, he was really keen. He used to drive me like most mornings at 5 or 6 a.m. to the rink before school to train. So big shout out to Dad. He was a big one.
That is great.
Mum was just like, oh, it's so cold for me.
Yeah, your parents are great. I'm sure that we're going to be able to talk more as you go through here about them, because obviously I've been around you guys for a while, and I know how much they do and how much they they put the effort to make it work in all senses. And it's a great role model for leadership, which is something that I have here. You've been around the role of leadership quite a bit, especially, I can't even name, it's more than 20 roles here of informal leadership. And only last year, and obviously, the last 2 years, more formal or, directed leadership roles. Yet I presume the head girl position, or the head girl role in high school is probably one of the most expressive one.
It is, yeah. My leadership journey was kind of different, you might say. Like, usually people who go on to be leaders or head students have always been like a very good student ever since they started high school. I wasn't like a naughty child, but I definitely didn't have hopes or aspirations of being head girl or anything. Like, I didn't think it was that cool, or, I didn't really think much of it. It was kind of just, oh yeah, I listened to them speak and it was kind of whatever. But then I had a really good ARCO teacher. So a teacher of mine, she like really pushed me to go. She was like, oh, you're a great speaker. You have great charisma. You're always smiling. Like, I can imagine you being such a good leader. And I was like, okay, sure. So she actually signed my name up to be a STARS peer mentor, which is where you help like the youngest students, year 9 and stuff. And then from there, I kind of just skyrocketed and kept going.
Nice. Great mentorship is quite the key to directors in life. But obviously you've been involved to musical and cultural aspects of our community. Anything to add on this one?
I actually had never done a musical in my life until this year. I was on the crew, which is like makeup, hair, sound. I did the sound stuff, which was actually really interesting. I'd never done anything like it, and I was fiddling with walkie-talkies and microphones. I don't know.
Just curious.
Just curious. Like, I wanted to be a part of it. Everyone always said that the musicals were such a good part of high school, and I never really thought about it. And then I was like, okay, I'll sign up to be sound crew, so I can kind of see what it's like. And then from there, so in 2024, last year, I was a part of the sound crew on the musical. And when I saw them on stage and when I was like getting everyone into their costumes and putting their microphones on, I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, you get to be a whole nother person. So this year I auditioned to be in the Mamma Mia musical, which is quite crazy because I can't sing very well and I'm not the best dancer. But they let me in, so I was so grateful. And then I was ensemble, so I pretty much got to dance every single song. And Mamma Mia is very classic, like good ABBA music. It was just great. I had a great time.
Awesome. When was that?
It was at the beginning of the year, in around March, I would say. Yeah, it was really awesome. A lot of work and like training and learning all these new dances and stuff, but it was definitely worth it in the end. Yeah.
You're only 17. You've done so much.
Yeah.
Great. I'm obviously I won't spend as much time as I can here with you and going through all these aspects, but I'm really curious to know where is this taking you, and we'll get to that. Yeah. But as we talked before, you were born here in New Zealand, but your parents are Brazilians. How was that to be raised in New Zealand, in Queenstown, and having parents of a different culture? What were the challenges and what were the successes or benefits out of it?
It's really different, first of all. Like, it's sometimes hard to compare the Kiwi culture or UK culture or whatever of my friends to the Brazilian one. It's definitely more of like a fierce and like loud, very like intense. I'm here, environment, which I think was really good for my personal development. Like, it definitely pushed me outside my like comfort. But there are definitely a few aspects where it was like challenging, try to explain like school life to my parents, because obviously it's very different to Brazil. Same with like social life, just because Queenstown's so safe, like the idea that I can, I don't know, go out with my friends and everything will be okay. Like, no one's going to kidnap me. It's honestly fine, trying to explain that to my mom, and my dad's pretty easygoing
Yeah.
for the most part. I don't know. They always like push me as like fierce people to talk and be loud and express your opinions, which I think isn't something Kiwis do so often. Like
Yes,
sometimes they
they
can
are a
be
little
quite
more shy,
reserved.
more
Yeah.
reserved. Yes.
Yeah, definitely to the more shy side. But
Yeah.
with my Brazilian parents, I think I definitely had the opportunity to like express myself
Yeah.
to the fullest, which I think is very important for like self-confidence and stuff like that. Even today, like when I go to do a speech at school or something, like my dad and my mum always say, make sure you speak up, like do it, you can do it,
You're intense.
don't be quiet, don't be shy.
You're a
like
Pedrosa.
Yeah, go out there like 100% all the time. So it's good. It definitely got me a lot further than
Yeah.
I don't know what it would have been like if I had
for sure.
Kiwi parents, but I
Yeah.
definitely felt inspired.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see like their hard work and how it supported me in getting where I am today. Seeing how much they did for me and my brother to like get here is quite inspiring. Like it kind of pushes you, I have to kind of give back to them in a way and show them that what they really did truly like impacted me and my brother. And I think doing like my sports and cultural and all that is kind of a way to give back to them and thank them for their hard work.
I like the way they always remind you and your brother. They speak that at home. That we're doing it. We're doing it for you. We're getting it there. We'll bring you along and let's go. And it's like it's not like they're doing their jobs and they don't think about they're doing what they're doing not for themselves, but they trying to give something to the next generation, which is you and your brother.
Yeah.
And then not only giving this to you, but also to teach you that that's the way you should give to your kids.
Yeah. No, they're definitely expressive on their hard work and how they do it for me and for my brother. I think it's good. I'm glad that they're so open to talk about that because some parents and like conversations are very reserved or like confidential at home. But their like ability to say, oh yeah, we do this for you is like quite inspiring. It kind of pushes me to be a better version of myself.
Yeah.
Not also just for myself, but similar like for them, so that we can kind of have that like mutual respect and understanding that what they do for me, I try to do for them kind of thing, like a big full circle moment.
I have a small observation. Obviously, that's my take when I see you guys. There's a little bit of personality on that too. Despite culture, despite a moment in life, I think both of your parents, they have very strong personality, and you were born with that too. You have that. You clearly see that you are I do person.
Yeah.
And it's great. We have the church here. We always preach about being a doer.
Yeah.
You can't just be a listener. You have to do something about what you have with what you have.
Yeah.
And you put that in practice.
Yeah, you're right. We have lots of different and very strong personalities in my household. Like a table discussion at dinner can go from like something very calm to like
awesome,
a complete debate about, I don't know, something. So you're definitely right about that bit. But yeah, it's good. I like how I can express myself with them and show them my side of the personality. I can always have a friendly argument or, actually progress and have my own opinions and stand on what I think is right. Yeah. And it's cool to have someone who can contradict me or like challenge my ways of thinking, because it can help me to reflect on what I've said.
It generates growth.
Exactly, and be a doer, but then also be a listener at the same time, because I don't know, we have like my mum who's very like intense, and then my dad can be very easygoing, so getting like a little bit of both and being able to listen sometimes and hold back, because I also have a very strong personality, and sometimes I'm just like go, or like my way, but being able to listen someone else's way of thinking and like taking that on, I think is quite important. But I only went to learn that like further on as I grew up. Like I always used to be very stubborn and think that my way was the perfect way, but it definitely wasn't.
But that's not normal to know this at your age.
Yeah.
That's very important that you bringing that up, because I think that's a message that we give to our youth. We have here in our church, we have our youth group, and I want that message to come across. You can definitely show them that you can achieve things now that most people will achieve in on late 20s or after some experience of life. But you quickly got that, which is great because that we were done now.
Yeah, I think it went from saying yes to a lot of things. Like, I really opened my mind. I don't think I was ever like conservative or shy, but I definitely used to just stay with what was comfortable. Like, if, I don't know, an achieved grade was comfortable for me. Later on as I went, I was like, no, I want to try get excellence, or I want to try, do a bit better and push myself. Being a listener is always good, but I always tell my friends, just do it. If it's meant to be, it'll be. And if it's not, then it's not. But just the fact that you put yourself forward and took that opportunity on is just enough to show that you showed up and, tried to do it. And whether it went good or bad, at least you were there to see how it was going to turn out. But yeah.
Awesome. Great peace of mind. I love it. High school. Yeah. Let's talk about high school. High school life. I remember when it was years ago when I was at high school. I wanted to get out. I really wanted to just get out. And obviously I didn't have a beautiful high school like this one. But I remember when I finished it, I missed it. And that's something when we're in your age, most of us will think, oh, you know what, it's boring. I just want to get over with it. But once that's done, you go, oh, you know what? I kind of miss it. I wish I had done it more or even different.
Yeah.
How is this for you?
I think that mentality is very common, especially at a young age. Like I said before, I think I was very much the same. I only went to school because I had to, and my mum said that as long as I lived under her house, I had to be educated and go to school. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not just going to leave the house, So
so I'll go to school.
Yeah, so off I went. Wakatipu High School has so many opportunities. Honestly, anywhere you go to school in New Zealand has so many opportunities. We're very blessed to have the beautiful mountains and beautiful scenery, just a great place and a great environment to study. I definitely had my moments of like, oh, I wish I could go home, or like, I don't want to be here. But as I got my first job and stuff like that, and I had to work for someone, or someone had to tell me when I had to go and what shifts I had, how much I'm being paid, I was really appreciative of the freedom I had in school and the ability to take on what the teacher's saying, but also, I don't know, if I'm writing an essay, I can still express what I want to say in that and not be so restricted. High school's like a playground, but for older people, like you can do whatever you want. You can dream big, you can achieve big. Everyone's there to like bring you up with you. It's not like somewhere where people want to shun you down and, tell you what to do and what not to do. Obviously, everyone's trying to get you to pursue a career, but so many high schools also, if you're not going to go to university, you can, be the best builder in Queenstown, or you can do tiling, or you can be the best makeup artist. Like, it's very open and free for everyone, not just the typical university career where you go and become a doctor or a lawyer. It's very free and open for whatever you want to do.
Yeah. In the beginning, we list some achievements there. Obviously, you highlighted the head girl achievement. Let's go through some of those. Maybe leave the head girl achievement for last. But as you in the high school, I know the way I see it, because obviously I wasn't born in New Zealand, and my high school didn't have the prospect of opportunity, of future opportunities. It was just a time period of your life you had to go through it, so you could go to uni. But the way I see high school here is like it's a sowing ground. I'm planting a seed now, which eventually I will get fruits out of it. Does that follow? Am I right thinking this way?
Yeah, my leadership journey, like I said before, was a bit strange. Thinking back now, I actually applied to be head girl at primary school with not much like vision behind it.
Head girl of the primary school?
Yeah.
So you
because
have that.
no, so I wanted to be head girl of the primary school.
Of the primary school.
I applied to be, but I didn't get the role.
I didn't know there was a role of head girl in the primary school.
So it goes, I don't believe there's like a preschool head student, but like it goes primary school and then on to high school. And then I believe in university, if you want to, you can apply to be like a leader there as well. I remember applying to be head girl because it's always been like a prestigious thing. It was never really like, it was kind of sacred or, you know, something very cool and like very high achieving. I really only did it because I was like, oh yeah, if I get head girl, I'll be recognized as a cool person, I guess, or, you know, I get to be around my peers. But I really started off by doing my sports, I guess, and being kind of like a leader in there, not as maybe having like a C or an assistant, you know, captain role specifically, but just showing up for my teammates and kind of leading them in warm up. Nothing significant, nothing had a role or like a title, but just
pure personality.
Yeah, exactly. Just showing up and wanting to be a leader and really showing my values and attributes that I had that I could give to the team. And then I went on to be a STARS peer mentor, as I mentioned before, where I was helping the Year 9 students who had just come into high school and helping them adapt to the environment, teaching them the way of high school, showing them around, kind of just helping them make new friends and stuff like that.
What kind of benefits do you get out of it if you're in a role like this? Maybe, you know, in a year time or 2 years.
Yeah, so being a STARS peer mentor was very helpful for me personally because the following year I applied to be student rep, which is the student representative on the board of trustees. So within the school, there's like a group of around 12 parents and then a student representative, a teacher representative, and the principal. Being a STARS peer mentor really pushed me to get to student rep because I never really considered being a leader. And then from there, I was like, this is quite cool. Like I was being recognized for my hard work and I saw that I could truly connect and engage with people no matter the age or like other factors that impacted my ability to connect with them. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll try something different and apply to be student rep, which is one of the very few positions you can apply for in year 12. In year 12, you can be a student rep, a house leader, a STARS peer mentor, and that's about it.
So any of them are more important than the other?
So it really depends on what you like to do. I believe a deputy house leader is pretty important because you run the house and you run house events and stuff like that. Being student rep was really, really cool. It's one of the only, it's only you who can be student rep. So I was student rep in 2024 and then this year there's another student rep, but it's just like a one job role for that year. So it's one student out of the whole student body who can do it. So I felt really privileged and honored to be chosen to be student rep, and it's completely student vote. So that was pretty cool. Like it was cool to see that I had my peers, backing me up, and it wasn't just, I don't know, teachers. So I wasn't really like a teacher's pet necessarily, but I also was able to have my peers back me up and follow me through there. But yeah, when I was in student rep, I got to do a lot of like advocacy and amplify the voices of my peers and make sure that what everyone said to me was being like presented to the board and everyone's like opinions were being taken into consideration. It was quite cool because I like to talk a lot and I believe I can articulate myself pretty well.
Amazing.
So being able to be that bridge between the student body and then the community was pretty cool. I was able to talk to lots of students, get their opinions, and then be able to pass that on to the board and really express what the students wanted, which I think is very important, obviously, for the school and school community. It was...
So that would open doors for you to get to where you are now?
Yeah, it was all kind of like a big progression. So being a STARS peer mentor was kind of like a step towards being student rep, and then from student rep I was able to really push myself and go into being head girl. It definitely helped when I applied on my application saying that I had done STARS peer mentor and I had been a student rep. It really showed that I had previous leadership engagement and that I could like give in my time and be responsible take everything into consideration and articulate myself well enough to be a head girl.
Yeah.
So when I applied, I was, I kind of wasn't as humble. I was just like, yeah, I've done all this, this, and this. And it was a huge selection process to be head girl.
I was gonna ask you, how do we get there? I want to be one.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, honestly. So they do like a massive application. So you have like about 7 different questions that range from why you want to be head girl, what values you'll bring from the school into your position, what your achievements are, how you've contributed outside of school, within school. Honestly, like so many questions. From there, you get shortlisted. So if maybe 50 girls apply to be head girl, only 10 will be selected. And then from there, you'll go on to do a speech and present the speech in front of the whole school, which is pretty intimidating because prior to being head girl, I had never spoken to such a large group of people.
How many people? 1,000 kids?
1,600.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I had spoken, obviously, to the student rep team and the board, which was 12 adults, which I thought at the time was intimidating until I stood up on the stage and there was 1,600 heads looking at me and I was like,
that's big.
Okay, yeah. And it was like a one shot only, like I had to nail it because I really wanted the role. So it was a lot of pressure. It was really cool though.
Now, why did you want the role? Why?
I think I wanted the role because I knew from there I would be able to reach greater things, such as me now, like being able to go to university and have that like backing me. And
so that gives you benefits to going to university.
Yeah, and not just tangible benefits, like not just scholarships, but also the self-confidence and like the self-knowledge skills I learned, like the actual things I can take on and use. Use further on in life, the ability to speak to a range of people, think on the spot, be a critical thinker, all of that kind of came with it. And it was more the journey, really, for me now. Like when I got the role of head girl, it was kind of the journey before it that I was proud of. When I got named head girl, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like now I can only go up. But it was cool to see all the things I had done before and how much hard work and effort I had put into like my grades, the way I spoke to people, how I engaged with other students had all really helped in getting to where I was and how much of a person I had grown. And like I was more intelligent, I was more intellectual, could speak better, I had more interpersonal skills.
It pushed you to a better position personally.
Yeah, it definitely pushed me. I was under a lot of pressure and I had to be really determined at times because, life isn't perfect. And some things were really hard. Like getting to that stage, stepping up in front of 1,600 students was like frightening. I was honestly in shock when I got up there. Like my legs are trembling, my hands are shaking. I was like, uh-oh. But once I got started, it's like the best way to explain it is bungee jumping. When you're standing at the top of the bridge, you're like, uh-oh. But as soon as you jump, it's like a free fall and the world's yours. Like I was able to speak. Everyone was listening. I had no one laugh at me. You know what I mean? It was okay. And it was good to have that confirmation once I started speaking.
Amazing. And I guess, as you develop your skills and as you grow into that role, you see yourself improving and you see yourself getting to where you've never been, and you like that version of you. And you said something about critical thinking. How much of that is real, or how much of that is true in the high school realm? Because obviously, we with our church, a lot of my theology preaching, a lot of my approach to the Bible comes with a pinch of salt of critical thinking. Now, I want you to be critical about it. I want you to question the veracity of the scriptures. I want you to question the veracity of God, or even science/God, or whatever you want to call it. How is that in the high school realm? Critical thinking, I think it's pretty important.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think if I wasn't a critical thinker, I would never be where I am today. I'm definitely one to always question why or how or when, what's going to happen. When I applied to be head girl, I asked my teacher who told me to apply, I was like, why would I do that? What's the point? Like, it's not going to give me anything, And then once I had that ability to critically think and honestly reflect on what I was doing, why I wanted to do it, it really helped me when I did get the role and thinking, okay, now I know where I want to go from here and what I want to achieve, not just I've got the role and it's okay. I really had that criticalness of what I want to do, how I want to do it, who I want to bring with me, and who I want to help.
Would you say that the role brought you that, or the environment of high school and the philosophy of high school itself?
Yeah, I think definitely the environment of the high school. Wakatipu High School is a great place. I had my friends, I could say strangers or like my student peers people I had never met. Everyone was backing me. Every time I talked to someone, they were like, you can do it, you'll be okay. And then from there, I had the ability to really question why I was doing it. And the same way I was able to critically think, the people who also critically thought and asked me these questions like, oh, why, it's like what you're doing right now, like why do you want to do it? Why? It really helps me reflect and think, why do I want to do it? Because it's hard when life's moving so quick to actually pause and question why you're doing things, because sometimes you're just doing it for the fun of it or because it just seemed to happen. But being able to sit back and think in high school is a great place because you have so much more time. Like we take time for granted.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in high school think, oh, I just want to be an adult or I just want to go to work. I don't want to be in high school anymore. And I
don't want to be an adult anymore.
We take that time we should take that time so for granted because it's so special. Like you make the best childhood memories, you think the best, you develop the best. Everything you do, you can do it with a purpose. Yeah. Like you can learn a new language and, not have as many difficulties. You can learn a new sport. Like it's such a precious time that people don't value enough. And I think it really helped. My time at Wakatipu High School really helped me now. And I'm very grateful for all the experiences I had and the memories I was able to cultivate.
Good teachers, good mentors.
Yes, I had so many good teachers actually. I have a really close connection with a lot of them. I really progressed obviously as I went through. When I first started, I definitely had, some people might call it like beef or arguments with some teachers, and we just didn't really get along. But as I progressed and understood, like, they're here to teach me, they're not here to make my life a misery. They're here to share their knowledge and their thoughts. I should respect them just as much as I respect my parents. They're here to help me, not to burden me. And once I really took that on and thought about why they were really there, I felt really inspired to listen to what they have to say, engage with their classes. And now I have a really close connection with a lot of my teachers. Not only that, but a lot of people that I grew connections through, like high school, speaking to my teachers. I got into things such as Girls Who Grow, which is like an environmental sustainability project. Now I have connections with Kath van der Meulen, who's one of my very great mentors, who actually helped me become one of the climate change trailblazers.
Tell me about that.
So I got selected for the Y25 YCMA program. It recognizes 25 women aged 15 to 25 across New Zealand who have made some sort of an impact within their community. I was really privileged. I was the second youngest there. So when I went, I was like, oh, am I meant to be here? Because everyone was so much older than me and everyone had so much experience and wisdom. But when I had those 3 days, I was given 3 days to go on like a retreat in Auckland. And we were all reflected on what we do in the community and how much pressure we get put on ourselves and how much we give to others but don't give to ourselves. I really felt like connected to those group of women who were going through the same thing as me. It was a great opportunity. And
is that the one you took your mother with you?
Yes, yes. Yeah. I took her to the launch night where they had everyone there and all the families and stuff like that. They gave like a Samoan a reef kind of thing. I don't know. It was just honestly such a great night and so many different cultures. It was really cool to see how the program really took on my Brazilian heritage and really appreciated that, where there we go,
Yeah.
where sometimes people don't really take that into consideration. You know, some people see it as a disadvantage to have immigrant parents,
Yes.
whereas I see it as a great advantage. Like, I can speak 2 languages, I can do things like
Yeah.
this because people feel inspired by my culture and
Yeah,
see
and
it
you're
as
reaping
a,
fruits.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's math, you know,
Yeah.
you can't go wrong with that. You're reaping fruits. That's
Yeah.
what you want in life, isn't it?
Yeah, and everything that has to do with my culture and being able to speak Portuguese, it's only ever benefited me rather than burdened me. Like, the ability to speak to different people, communicate with people of other languages and other places is honestly a blessing.
Have you heard that because we speak 2 languages, our brain forces us to push our intelligence in the way and the speed of how we process things?
Yeah, I have heard that. It's actually really funny because the other day I was on the phone with my mom and I was like, "Oi, gorda, tudo bem?" I was speaking to her and my friends were like, you know, they always giggle and make jokes because they try to like translate what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because once I got off the phone, I was like, I was just thinking, I was like, I could still understand what my friends were saying while speaking to my mom in Portuguese. And it's just so cool to see how we can work so intellectually and how we can listen in another language, speak in one, and still understand both sides of the conversation. Like, it's
crazy. Like, we have in our church, we have translation into Spanish and into Portuguese.
Yeah.
And in the very beginning of it, I used to help with translation. And I remember having to speak English. Obviously, I was listening to the preacher in Portuguese, and I was translating into English speakers that didn't understand Portuguese. And I remember being able to scroll my phone in Portuguese and read something else in Portuguese on the phone and still translate this guy in English.
Yeah.
And it was like I had two brains working at the same time.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. It's actually crazy that was like the same realization I had. I was like, whoa, I can do so many things at once. So I was like, wow. But yeah.
It's awesome. Cool. Did you do any other language courses or skills?
I did Spanish at the beginning of my high school, like, life, I guess. Yes. I did like a semester, which is 2 terms.
Easy?
Yeah, hard? It was all right. I don't think I really enjoyed it, to be honest. I think if I had enjoyed it more, I would have like gone further into it. But actually way back when I was in primary school, I did Chinese for 4 years.
Wow.
So I don't know, I can still say a few things like Ni hao, wa jiao Manuella, Nina, hi, my name's Manuella, what's yours? I did calligraphy competitions where I drew in Chinese with like the ink pens and stuff like that. Wow. I won a few competitions in New Zealand. So I really like learning Chinese and like having that other side. Unfortunately, when I went to high school, there wasn't a Chinese teacher because they teach Japanese, French, Māori and Spanish. So there wasn't the opportunity for me to keep going. I have considered it, taking it as a minor in university or something, because I already have like the fundamentals, and obviously China's a big dominant power.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's in the future that will be a great skill to have. Sure.
But I obviously need to practice it, which is my worry of taking something and not putting it into practice. But we'll see where life takes me.
Yeah, you might even be selected to CIA.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Maybe I'll be like the embassy between New Zealand and China. You know, you
awesome.
never know. Yeah.
Ah, great
Anything
stuff.
you don't do,
Yes, exactly.
you're not good at.
So with all that, I'm sure that pressure comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to go into that a little bit, how you deal with the pressure and how much pressure you feel. And obviously I want to compare that with your peers, obviously, and as you observe them, being their, head girl.
Yeah.
But looking at yourself now, how much pressure, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. It's really interesting because I think as a head girl, I obviously have to be very confident and very, like, present myself very well. So I think a lot of people think I live, I don't know, a generic life. You know, I go to school and then I go home and then I write a speech and then say it the next morning. But it's not really like that. I think the best way I cope with pressure is my sports or just spending some time by myself. I'm obviously under a lot of pressure 24/7.
Yeah.
I'm quite a perfectionist, you might say. So I'm always trying to do my best, whether it's in my academics, my sporting, my leadership. So maybe a generic day for me. So when Wakatipu, because our season's over, we came third, but when we had our season, a generic day for me would look like a gym in the morning and then school and then a speech in between that. Then I'd go home, do a bit of homework. From 9 till 10, I'd have ice hockey practice. Then I'd go home, practice my speech, have a shower. And then by the time I woke up and gone to bed, it was like from 6 to 1, right? And for someone my age, maybe that's not their normal. Maybe from, I don't know, 4 p.m. till 1 a.m. they're playing video games.
Yes.
But I was being productive in lots of different areas.
Yes.
And it's hard. Like, it definitely is. Being under pressure is hard, and it's hard to learn how to deal with that. It's like a progress in itself. When I was younger, I guess, or when I started high school, I don't think I put as much pressure on myself necessarily to be able to handle it. But now that I put pressure on myself, I know how to deal with it better. So when I am under pressure, I just take like a moment or two to, you know, breathe and reflect, why am I doing this? What's the purpose? Where is it going to get me in the future? And like think of the benefits that it'll give me, and utilize this time. Like I said, we take so much time for granted, and spending it scrolling through TikTok is not the most productive use of my time.
Not at all.
When I have like 3 assessments due on Friday. So I think now the biggest way I remove pressure or really like minimize it is probably my time management and allocating time for everything. And that's not just school and sports and stuff like that, but
Life
also
in
like my
general.
social life, you know.
Yes.
I don't know, hanging out with my friends, going to parties and all that. Like, I still have time for everything, but really investing my time into managing it is so important, because then I can really balance my life efficiently, having to go to the gym, go at ice hockey, and then study, be social, you know. Like,
I find a lot of success in balance things in life, and I think you have to put the effort into bring balance into it.
Yeah,
and I think it's very Christian as well. I think it's a fruit of the Spirit. The Bible says that we should have self-control, and that comes from temperance. That comes from balancing. You know, sometimes you're doing too much of that and nothing of that. Oh, come on, you know, manage that time. You know, make sure you know that you're gonna have a good run of it, and you're gonna be able to do all that you have to do, not just, you know.
and that's like that self-control thing, you know. I could have 5 assessments due at the end of the week, for example, and as much as I want to just sit there and scroll through Instagram, you know, maybe I can scroll through Instagram for 30 minutes and then do some work for another 30, you know. But I completely agree, having that balance in high school and just life in general is so important. If I didn't have balance, I probably wouldn't have excelled in so many different areas, you know, because I really focus on my school. But when I'm in school, I'm in school. And when I'm at sports, I'm in sports. You know, I can't be 2 different places at once because I'm only one person.
So you're able to disconnect here.
Yeah, I am able to disconnect. It's a big skill of mine, I guess. When I'm in ice hockey, it's what I think about in that moment. Like, I invest 100% of my energy and my time into that, so that when I do something else, I can 100% focus on that, you know. Because if I were to do that with the amount of things I do, if I weren't to invest that time correctly and fully go 100% on what I'm doing, I'd get so confused and tangled on, okay, I have to do 20% there and then another 20% there and 40%
that's challenging.
there, you know?
That's very hard to get to
I'd
that
get
point.
so overwhelmed. But I've definitely learned that over time. You know, it's a skill you have to learn. And
you have to develop.
There's definitely been times where I haven't handed in an assignment because it's late, or because I decided to sit there and do nothing or watch a movie with my friends, you know. And same, like, there's been so many times where I've handed in an assessment, but then I missed out on the opportunity to go bowling or something, you know. But I found that balance over time. And like reading a lot of like self-help books and stuff like that, and talking to people who are very busy as well and do lots of things, hearing what they do to help them deal with pressure was really important. And reaching out for help, of course, is like very important. You know, everyone has trusted friends, family, and if you don't have that, I'm sure you have, you know, even my dogs, like going and talking to them. They can't talk back to me, but, you know, just taking that time to like recover and think about what I'm doing so I can allocate my time.
You were born here in New Zealand, but from parents that are Brazilians. Does that create pressure in your day to day? Maybe not now, but maybe in the past.
I don't think it. I was gonna say I don't think it creates pressure, but sometimes it does. Like explaining some concepts of high school or maybe my life to my parents sometimes can be really challenging, and sometimes it can be a bit draining. Like explaining for an example of now, explaining what I'm gonna go on, do beyond high school. And when I told my parents I was head girl, for example, they were like, oh, so when's the next assembly, like very clueless. And sometimes it can be hard to try to explain everything and like translate it, use the right words, and obviously everything we translate isn't the same or isn't expressed in the same way or tone. So sometimes it can be hard. But I think rather than draining or, a burden, I think it was a really positive thing. Like it really helped me. My mum, when I used to do cross country when I was 5, she always used to like scream, focus, focus, focus. And ever since then, I've kind of just took that along with me, even if I do struggle sometimes to explain things to them, I really take a deep breath and just go again because eventually they're going to understand, but
But do your peers put pressure on you for that matter, for you being multicultural, or do you feel that? Have you felt before?
Yeah, I definitely. Every time a new Brazilian student comes to school, I'm the first person they reach out to email or the first person they approach because I'm bilingual. So they come up to me and they're like, hi, I need you to go tomorrow and speak to this person and you're going to show them around the school, which is totally fine with me, but it definitely brings on that pressure of, okay, now I have to add this on to
one more thing.
Yeah, I have to balance this out as well and add it to my schedule. But I don't think I take it very personally, or I don't think it burdens me so much because I'm a very open person and I know how to be flexible with my time. So when someone asks my help, I'm willing to give it to them because I know that my skills and my knowledge can be very helpful and inspiring to someone. And even if it's just a simple conversation, I'm sure it can improve someone's thought of mind and train of mind, because that's how I personally felt inspired, where just the small conversations in the hallway or something like that.
We obviously your peers, looking at them now and looking at the kind of life they have. Obviously, you have your own schedules, you have your own achievements and your goals. But as you observe as you look around in the crowd, do you see the pressure that they feel of their day to day, or what high school brings over them, or even their psychological, how much that can be affected? Do you perceive that?
Yeah, I think it's really different. Like having parents from another country, sometimes it can be hard to like I said before, express yourself. And I think when I reflect to my Kiwi friends or friends of other ethnicities, they don't really understand what it's like to have family overseas, or switch that mindset when you go home, because the way I express myself at school I can't express to my parents because it's just a different mentality. And I think it doesn't necessarily psychologically impact me, but I don't see my friends having that same issue. Like when they need help with an assignment, they can go to their parents because their parents have gone through university, they've been educated,
so their burden will be easier.
Exactly, yeah. So sometimes I see they're not so psychologically and emotionally impacted because they have greater support in different areas. Like they have more support when it comes to schoolwork or university or understanding how to write a speech. Like I've never had help doing that because I can't, but then obviously in different ways, it's very different. Like I've always had someone pushing me and telling me to keep going and do it with 100%. Whereas I don't see many of my Kiwi friends or other ethnicities going and having that fierceness within them that I think is rooted from my Brazilian heritage. So.
And so still on that psychological battle or pressure, if you will, do you see the issue of depression around? Do you see the issue of not knowing how to deal with high school, or do you perceive that
Yeah, I definitely
around
do.
you
I
or
think
your peers?
I think it's definitely in the younger groups of people. Like coming into high school is a big transition. Their fear of not having friends or not getting along, like you can definitely see a lot of people are very nervous and anxious. I knew a lot of kids from primary school, like younger than me, and when they came through to high school they were a completely different person, you know. From primary school they were super energetic and bubbly, and as soon as they came to high school they kind of hid in that shell just because they're so afraid of, you know, getting in trouble or doing something wrong, because high school has such a broad range of ages, you know, everyone's like developing very differently, because when you're 18 you're supposedly mature, and then when you're in year 9 you're, you know, still immature and stuff like that. But depression definitely exists for a lot of people. I think anxiety is a big one these days. Like people feel really anxious to go to school, and they feel a lot of pressure just from the socializing of with like socializing with friends or speaking with teachers can be so simple, where someone boils up in anxiety and
Why do you think that?
can't express that. I think social media and the internet has a big impact on that, and especially the use of AI. You know, like a lot of us feel very reliant on these tools. Having your phone so close to you, you can be behind a screen and send a mean message, you know, but you would never say that to someone in
Right.
person.
You can't hide
And
yourself.
yeah, exactly. And I don't think in person you can hide yourself so much necessarily. And I think people you like have that anxiety behind people are really going to perceive me as who I am right now and the way I speak, and having to think about what you're going to say before you say it. I think the use of technology and like TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat and all that, like all the like small things that influence you really have a greater impact. Maybe it's just like a post you came across 2 days ago and it said, I don't know, go to the gym and get off your phone or something, you know, that could have a massive impact on someone who is already struggling with motivation and getting up in the morning, you know, and then it just takes a further toll and it just keeps going down and down.
Yeah.
And school is a hard place. I think it's always been, you know, there's different personalities, there's strong, there's, you know, weaker personalities, but I think once you embrace where you are and find your people, find the people who really like bring you something, you know, they uplift you, not the people who don't know what they want to do or don't have like big goals, you know. Dream big is what I always say to people. Have people who are there to bring you up and really support you, because
So you want to hang out with proper companionship.
And it's who you involve yourself with and who you surround yourself with is who the person you will be, you know. Like it's who you stand with is how you're perceived. So being around people who really like lift you up and have the same values and morals, I think is like really important.
No, I remember maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I think maybe since COVID-19, a lot of kids took their lives, and especially on that age of high school. Is that a topic or something that is spoken in high school? Is that something that you guys deal with, or that you are instructed about it? How do you deal with that?
It's definitely like a topic of like matter. I don't think it's necessarily in high school. It's definitely more on like through social media and the internet again. But in high school, it's not openly spoken about. We had a few cases of suicide due to like a bunch of different reasons, you know. And I think it's like that whole idea of people just hide behind that screen and they just build in depression and they don't speak out for the help. The help is there, you know. If you approach someone in the hallway, I'm sure they would be willing to give you like a smile and give you that help. And school offers that help. You know, we have nurses, we have well-being counselors, but it's always the fear of reaching out for help that I think builds up the suicide cases, is that it's not openly spoken about as much as it should be, you know. And I think if it was, people would be more willing to reach out for help and ask, like, I need help, you know, I'm okay. The help's definitely there, but it's that fear of asking.
So you agree that this is not being advertised or spoken or touched as much as it could be?
I think it's really a sensitive topic, as obviously it is.
Yep.
I think it could be more educated on within school, like within maybe the curriculum or something like that. I think it would be important. They still talk about within like the health and PE and stuff, like drug abuse, alcohol abuse, you know, self-harm and all that. Like it is still...
So that's something that is a reality in the high school?
Yeah, it is definitely openly talk about in health and PE sectors, but...
Is that a problem in high school? All those, that list that you just gave?
I think it can be. Again, I think it depends on who you surround yourself with and who you walk by. You know, like my groups of people don't necessarily do drugs because we all have big goals and aspirations, and we know that will draw us down eventually. But it is pretty open within school. Like everyone knows.
It's there.
Yeah, definitely. It's everywhere. You know, it's like inevitable in every single school. You're going to find someone that vapes or you're going to find someone that drinks. Like, it's just the reality of life. But surrounding yourself with good people, it's definitely open, and the school still educates you on, like, the positive, the negative, not so many the positive, but mainly, like, you know, the negative impacts of alcohol and, like, drug abuse, and then that kind of builds on to suicide and stuff. It's definitely sensitive, but it is spoken about in school.
Would you say that the institution school is doing a good job with that so far?
I think in terms of well-being, it's pretty open. It just depends whether people engage with it or not. I think the school offers the opportunities, but I think youth engagement is hard. And I don't know if that's necessarily an issue of the institution or just a lack of support within like student engagement, which isn't just an issue in those areas, but like even in sports or house activities, you know, just the lack of engaging with your community and speaking out and connecting with others in a face-to-face scenario and like in person is really hard these days because everything's done through the cell phone. Now you can have a medical consult on FaceTime, you know, it's just like...
Nothing is personal anymore.
People are losing the personal connection and their ability to think personally. And I think that has an impact, not necessarily the institution, because I think they do their best to support. Like at school, we have wellbeing initiatives, we have good space surveys, like there's heaps of stuff that are made to support people with mental issues and stuff like that. It's just whether people utilize it or not, which is the hard bit, because how are you going to force someone to reach out for help? You can't, you know, like it's hard.
It's the same spiritually speaking. You know, as pastors and as leaders in a Christian environment, we have answers for many questions, and many times the root of the problem goes beyond the physical and beyond the psychic, and it touches that spiritual spine. You know, it touches that spiritual base. We can help, but again, the person needed to desire, you know, that help. You know, it's the same with, we spoke about mentorship. You had so many mentors, and you know, people that inspired you. As leaders, we promote the idea of discipleship, which really, in other words, is mentorship. And the disciple, he has to will to be discipled, you know, to be mentored and to be guided. If he's not willing, you know, there's not much that we can do about it.
I think that's the reality of high school. Like in primary school, you're pretty forced to do a lot of things, you know, like if you don't want to read, too bad, you're going to sit there for 10 minutes and read. Whereas in high school, the teacher's mentality and the way they teach really shifts. So it's up to you whether you want to read for 10 minutes or not. You know, it's going to benefit you, not the teacher, whether you sit there and do it or not. And it's the same with assessments. It's the same with the end of year exams. And I think it builds you onto life because, as you say, like through a spiritual being and even like just in general, you got to be willing to do things, and you have to be willing to take that help and really take things on. And I think high school's the perfect time where they teach that. But obviously change is very hard for some people, and the freedom that they have of being able to choose whether they do something or don't can be really hard. And that's where people start to get lost a little bit within themselves because they can't decide what they want to do, and they don't really have anyone, like sometimes they don't have anyone that supports them and says, yeah, you know, you should sit that assessment because in the future you're going to miss out, or in the future, you know.
You can rip good things from it.
Yeah, and I think high school is really good because you eventually learn that, you know, everything's not just given to you, but then it can be really hard for a lot of people because you have to understand that difference of primary school and high school, and it's honestly up to you whether you do your work or not. And that's the hard bit, people lose motivation, people don't feel inspired, people just don't want to be there because it's high school and you kind of feel a bit more independent or older, and you think I know best, I'm an adult, like I'm okay, I'll be sorted. And then some people tend to fall off a little bit or not really understand why they are at school, which is hard.
And since we're talking about the spiritual bit, how does the topic of God goes about in the high school?
It's honestly not very spoken at Wakachipu High School. I don't believe we have religious studies. I think you might be able to take it through a pathway or like a gateway course, which is like an online course that you can do, and you can do like religious studies and stuff like that. Yeah. In terms of like God and Christianity and stuff like that, it's not so openly spoken about, but with like Māori religion and stuff like that, like a karakia, like a blessing to whatever the situation, like a blessing for your food, or maybe an introduction to an assembly, a karakia is always used to bless everyone there, but definitely not in terms of in class or anything like that, or a specific study you can take in school as with like a personal teacher. It doesn't exist.
And the science, when you study science, what do they teach? Do they teach evolution? Do they teach creationism? What is that?
In science, it honestly depends like how far you go. So in year 11, science is general, which means it's physics, chemistry, and biology. In there, they teach like plants, cells, stuff like that, not necessarily so much into human evolution.
Okay.
But as you progress and you take just biology in year 13 and 12, it really goes down further into that evolution and stuff like that, especially in like history and stuff as well. I personally don't take biology in year 13, but I take history. And it kind of goes back, to the ancient times before Christ and stuff like that. And it's definitely brought up a lot more. And, like the representative gods and the different cultures and how, like different cultures see different beliefs and different gods. It's definitely spoken about. I think it just depends what subjects.
I'm always very curious to know, because obviously I've got Bella going through Kingsville now. And it's a Christian school. And they're going to obviously grow up having that as a main learning avenue, like creationism and where we come from and so on. That sort of, when you get to high school, obviously, and if they are interested in biology, they will probably have something different. But because I never took high school here, I wouldn't know. So obviously, that's something that we'll wait and see how that will unveil.
Yeah, it's actually really cool you bring that up, because I never really thought about it. And yeah, especially at Wakachipu High School, because it's not something openly, like suggested or implied. I think a lot of Kiwis or like, New Zealanders aren't very religious, and I think that's why it's not so expressed. Like you don't really hear people talking about their religious beliefs in New Zealand.
Well, they're more reserved.
Exactly.
Like the Kiwi culture is
it all
more
goes
reserved.
back to that. But yeah, it's really interesting you say that. And then also talking to Rebecca about introducing a Jesus club would be quite cool, because you could bring in that aspect.
Do you think that would be welcoming? Like people would, the school in general would welcome that?
I think so, yeah. I don't know, it just depends on, I don't know, who and
the powers that be.
Who and what implements it. I know quite a few religious people like around the school, and I'm sure they would be willing to, engage with that. I'm sure there's religious teachers as well. I think it would definitely be important, because it would kind of open that like reserved aspect and show them that it can be openly spoken about.
And again, I think even if you don't go down the road of Christianity, and if you speak to whatever spiritualists people, most of those who approach the spiritual world will agree that some things are dealt in the spiritual realm. Obviously, someone who is very, evolution sort of thing and earthy, that if they don't go down the road of the spiritual, they would deny that. But most of the people that have these spiritual avenues, they would agree that some things can only be dealt down the roots of this of the spirit. And I think it would be beneficial, to any levels. And in that we can help. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Queenstown, but you had some time in Lake Howe, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about Queenstown community? I'm biased because I love it, but
Me too. I think I'm a bit biased. But thinking on like a non-biased perspective, when my family relocated to Lake Hawea, I moved schools and I went to Mount Aspiring College. I think I definitely struggled a lot more there at Mac than I did at Wakatipu High School. Like, people were not as open and they were very closed-minded. I think it might be due to the fact that we have so many tourists here in Queenstown and that we see so many different faces, so many ethnicities, different languages always being spoken. Over there, it was very close-knit, and it was almost like a lot of farmers and, very like traditional Southland.
even more reserved.
Yeah, like very rural.
If you can get more than...
Yeah, exactly. And I really struggled because, I don't know, like I said before, I'm very open and I'm quite opposite, like, to reserved. I really struggled with, honestly, at the beginning, I didn't struggle with making friends or anything like that. It was all like pretty welcoming. Until I had a few people, make fun of, I don't know, my curly hair because maybe they don't see curly hair there. Like, I don't know, I thought they would.
Yeah.
Or like the ability to speak another language because it's just not as common because it's so rural, Like,
right.
Me picking up my phone and speaking to my mum in a different language was just like...
in front of the other people.
Yeah, it's like,
right.
Oh my God, she has a talent. Or like, she's so cool. But they didn't really see it like that,
No.
They saw it as like, well, she must be a stranger or she doesn't belong here. And so I had a few comments, your parents should go back to Brazil because that's where they came from. Or, you have a big nose, or you look like Tarzan because you have curly hair. Just like, crazy comments, that I have never heard in Queenstown. And I think it's because like international people and different ethnic communities are so valued in Queenstown. Like it's a big part of like the work ethic, the way the community runs, like the economy. It's literally, the basis of everything. And I think that's why I like have never heard anyone say anything like ridicule, and not just to me, but to other people. It's hard to see someone say a racist comment, and as it should be, because it shouldn't be something that you can just go and say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was really different when I moved back to Queenstown. I think I'm definitely biased though, because I did live here my whole life.
Yeah.
But even like before that, going to preschool and stuff like that, speaking two languages, like now if I pick up the phone to my mom, she, like, everyone just thinks it's so cool that I can speak two languages and that I have the ability to speak with two people. And my boyfriend was from Gore, and I had a really similar like interaction from like Hawea to Gore. Like when I went down there, it was really rural, very white, and not many international people. And I don't know, I'd be walking around the warehouse or something, and I'd pick up my phone, and obviously I speak really loud because I don't know, Brazilians speak really loud.
Do.
And I'd be like, oh, it's the Vanguard, and have a conversation, and everyone would just be like, she's like a foreigner,
scared.
or she's an immigrant, she doesn't belong here. And it was really interesting because I never have that like unconscious or subconscious like racism in Queenstown. Like it's really hard for me to speak another language or, openly laugh really loud in the warehouse or something with my mom, and people like think it's strange, whereas there it was really hard
it's
to
common
adapt
here,
into that. It's definitely different everywhere.
Yeah, I do think it's an inviting community. Despite I've witnessed racism before, especially with the boys of my work. All Brazilians. Some of them don't speak English, and I've had my days in having to clear things up with other people because of that. But in spite of all that, the community is really welcoming with the multicultural thing, and but what's lacking? What is missing here? What do you think could be better?
I don't know. I'll think on it.
Good question, eh?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah. I mean, having the community booming in many senses here, it always pushes me to think that how can I make it better? So obviously, I don't have so many skills like you do, but I have one or two, and those
I'm sure you have plenty.
and those one or two can be used in favor of the community. I'll give you an example. As we run the church here, this church was born with Brazilians doing what they know. Eventually, we understood the necessity of speak English. So the Portuguese speaker became the secondary language of the church. And okay, now we need translation. So let's mitigate this issue of Portuguese speakers not understanding what the pulpit is saying in English. Let's give them the translation. All right, it's still not enough. What else can we do? Well, let's offer them English courses. So every Monday, we've got someone that teaches for free to open community. You don't have to be a Christian. You don't have to be in church. You just come up, for free. You have someone every Monday will teach you English here. So that small example is, well, I can give back to the community because that's multicultural, and I think that they will need that.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think we needed more things like that. So I'm giving my example because that's the only thing I can think now. But
I think obviously it's really hard to come from a different culture and separate yourself from that and try and embrace yourself within the culture of the country you decided to move to. I think in terms of English availability in school and stuff like that, it's very open. There's lots of English support, and it's cool to see the integration of the Brazilian translation night. That was pretty cool. It was the first time it had ever happened, and they're bringing more support in those areas for the Māori and stuff like that. I think one area that maybe lacks a little bit, as
could be improved.
Could be improved within the broader community, is having a group of people. I don't know whether you want to go do a samba in a small studio or you want to go do, tap dance or whatever, so you can really embrace that culture, not just from a speaking standpoint, not just the Facebook group of Brasileiros in Queenstown, something a bit further, where people
not
can
only
actually,
theoretical but practical.
Yeah, exactly. People can congregate and embrace themselves within that tradition, because you don't want to lose it. It's your culture. It's deep rooted in you. And sometimes when you come from an immigrant background, people want to, tell you, you need to be more reserved, or, you need to be more Kiwi, or you need to speak in a certain way, whatever. But having the opportunity to go somewhere, I don't know, every week, every weekend for any group of people, a really cultural.
Yeah, I remember when I got my citizenship here, Mayor, what's his name? I forget his name now. But I remember the mayor in Queenstown saying that we are now welcome you and your culture in here. And I remember that. It was pretty cool to hear that. I don't force that, because obviously I'm coming here and I want to get the culture of this place into me rather than me trying to bring my culture here. But I get what you're saying, but it was pretty cool to hear that. That he's welcoming not only me, but he's welcoming my culture as well, and that's something that they want also.
But the same way, I guess people coming from overseas learn from the Kiwi culture, they could learn a thing or two from our culture, and I think it's really cool how Queenstown specifically, they don't have every weekend cultural groups, but they have multicultural festivals and stuff like that, where all the communities and different ethnic groups gather and stuff like that. I think it's cool how maybe if you can't express your full culture fully, at least you can teach someone a few things, maybe how to, I don't know, say your name in Portuguese or introduce yourself. It's something so simple that could go way beyond. Maybe they hear you speaking Portuguese and they're like, wow, I want to learn Portuguese, and there's another one, or they see you dancing samba or carnaval or something, and they want to go and do the same. You learn, everyone learns from different people, and I think it's something that could be more open. I
remember I worked for the Hilton Hotel years ago, and one of the HR approaches were, if you know how to greet this person in their language, this is something that we appreciate. So you should try to do that. Now that speaks of the culture of this community.
Yeah.
We're about multicultural. We're about welcoming all that.
Yeah. And it's really interesting in terms of not just culture, but when I went on the Y25 program, I had a girl, a part of the 25 women, she was actually deaf. So it was really cool to see how they had an interpreter there, you know, and it's something you don't like think about because culture's always openly spoken, like, you know, you can speak your language and they can speak theirs. But there's always like a little bit of a barrier, and that barrier between a deaf person and someone who can speak is so significant that you really recognize it. Whereas sometimes it's hard to change, you know, the smaller cultural barriers because it doesn't really seem existent, even though it's there, you know, and like the difficulty of saying specific words or not being able to be as loud as you are, you know, when you're with your parents in Brazil or whatever. So it's really cool.
All that would be great for, you know, our youth and our high schoolers to know that it's welcoming. Like they're not weirdos. They're not, you know, it's everyone, you know, is really welcoming.
And I think like in New Zealand, people are reserved, but they're reserved to an extent, you know, that when it comes to some things, they're so open. Like,
yes.
Maybe personally they're very reserved, but when they come to speaking on topics or stuff like that, they're very open.
Yeah.
And I think culture is one of them, especially in Queensland. Like, it's very open. We have Samoan dances during break. Nice. We have, like, people singing different songs in different cultures. We have Multicultural Week. We have a Multicultural Council. We have, like, literally anything you can think of. Like, if it's Carnival Week and some Brazilian youth from the church or something went up to one of the multicultural councils or joined the council and said, I want to do a Carnival Week at school, I'm 110% sure the school would be like, let's do it. Because every week there's like a Samoan week, or it's Māori week, or it's French week, or it's Italian week.
Nice.
You know, like it's so embedded in the culture, and I think it's really important.
Yes, it is definitely.
Even if it's not, you know, taught in the language, because we only have a limit of 4 languages, being Spanish, French, and Japanese and Māori. But like beyond that, you know, there's still the cultural engagement within the school and the availability of having a Brazilian translator twice a week at school, and you know, it's like cool how they
you got to take your hat off for that.
How they've been able to integrate it. Like they've had students like myself, I've like completely translated a piece of paper about NCA into Portuguese, so that you know, like they do try to make it open for everyone, so that everyone's understanding of what's going on. And I think that's very subjective to Queenstown, which I think is why I take it so for granted.
Yeah, it's different. Certainly it is different. Like we have massive issues with a lot of stuff, but but we have our leadership meeting with other pastors from other communities, other congregations, and we go along well. We you know, we have breakfast together, we pray together, you know, we talk, and there's not a sense of rivalry, and there's no sense of competition. We're friends, and that's not normal in the realm of churches, you know, that I know out there, and I've been around. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of, you know, your church is bigger than mine, or, you know, you're older than me, or you're younger than me, or something like that. There's always a little friction that in Queenstown, it's not like that. You know, it's actually welcoming. And maybe because of the multicultural aspect of it. You know, our church is called All Nations Abba Church. You know, it's an all nations community that is there to serve the community. I always say this to you know, to our people here. So look, we're here to give back to the community somehow, you know, as much as we can.
I think it's I completely agree with everything you have to say, and like I think it's definitely growing even more, which is really cool to see. And I think I could potentially be one of the only international students who have ever made it to be head girl, you know, and I'm like certain that so many more can be that, you know. I believe in them, because if I did it, they can too, you know. Like if I can do it, you can do it. Don't worry. Like it's okay, you know. I have also 2 parents who are from Brazil, and it didn't necessarily give me an advantage that I was born here, you know. I was still brought up in the same culture, you know. It's cool that I was born here and whatever, and I was more like visible to the English and the Kiwi culture, I guess, but I was still very rooted.
Yeah,
in
your
my
household
Brazilian
is very much Brazilian. Huh?
Yeah, like if you speak to any of my parents, it's very much go, 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 very Brazilian. When I speak to my grandma, when I go overseas, my auntie, my cousins, it's all very Brazilian.
Yes.
And I think sometimes people assume that because I was born here, I have a greater advantage because, I don't know, I got to see it first maybe. But just because my parents are from Brazil and I wasn't born in Brazil, I don't believe that if you were born in Brazil and came over, you can't be as successful as me because I saw it first, you know?
Challenges are the same.
Yeah, exactly. You, if I can do it, you can do it too, you know? And I say that to a lot of people. Like, don't feel ashamed or embarrassed of your, like, culture or that you think you can't get there because it's going to be something that, like, restrains you or doesn't help you get there because...
Great,
it does, you know,
great
like,
message.
Yeah.
Have you ever had anyone reaching out to you because of that? Because of this multicultural thing? Or
yeah, actually the Y25 program, a lot of the people who were recognized on the program were from different ethnicities. So we had like Afghanistan, Brazil, Modi, like so many different places. And I think it was really cool because when I went there, I was really recognized for my culture, not necessarily as who I was as a person, because sometimes it's kind of overshone. And it's really cool. Like even in school, I think they appreciate the fact that I have maybe a different side and how I can see a different side of the community and be able to speak to different people. I think it's like such a big advantage. I would never think of it as a disadvantage, which I think is what most people sometimes
stumble on.
Yeah. They, I don't know. I'm Brazilian. I can't speak perfect English. I'm never gonna get there. You know, I still can't say some words in English because of, I don't know, just the way I've been brought up. You know, it's like I obviously speak perfect English and it helps, but my mom doesn't speak perfect English. You don't speak perfect English. My dad, and we're all successful people. You know, it doesn't just the way you speak is not how you are perceived. It's the way you present yourself, how hard you work, and how hard you push yourself to get there. Is I think what truly
and
matters.
that's in any culture.
Yeah, anything. It's just how much you put yourself out there, how much you ask for help, how much you're willing to do the work, regardless of how perfect you are, because perfectionism isn't everything. The world's not perfect, so.
I love that. And with that base and that foundation now, what's the future like for you? Where are you going?
The world's my oyster, I guess. That's what they always say. I want to go to Otago University next year, and I want to study law and commerce. I'm not really sure what I want to major and minor in. My parents don't really understand that concept. But
it's different from
it's kind of like you can major in something which is like a bigger like subject, I guess, and then a smaller one. Anyways, I'm not going to go down that tangent, but I thought about doing like international business or marketing. I have the aspirations of being a lawyer initially, but I think hopefully I can go beyond that and maybe be like
Prime Minister,
a prosecutor, or Prime Minister, CEO of like my own business, or build something by myself, or create something big, go a bit further than just doing law. I can't really imagine myself in Dunedin for 5 years because it's like cold and I don't know. It's like cool, but it can be a bit miserable.
It's close enough though.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going there because I'm close to home and I can still play my ice hockey down there. They have a great team. So I'll do like my first year in a hall of residence and then my second year flatting. And then Otago University offers a really cool exchange program through the university. I think they partner up with like 102 countries or something around the world. And you pay New Zealand fees and you can go overseas. So I don't know, for
study?
Yep. So for someone who came from Brazil, for example, they can go to Otago University and then go study in Brazil and have that ability to speak Portuguese and still be studying in English. Or, I hopefully want to go to maybe Croatia or Portugal, Spain, I don't know, somewhere hot and nice, so I can kind of travel and then study at the same time.
That would be a great idea.
But I want to do like my postgraduate and like my like practice, I guess, somewhere else. I kind of wanted to go to like Harvard University or Oxford or somewhere like prestigious and nice. Because I think I could get there. I don't know if I would do that now just because I think I'm a bit afraid of leaving home so early and like completely changing my life. I think if I start slowly, I'll be able to adapt better and then really fully enjoy it when I go overseas.
And if you go overseas with a little bit more maturity,
yeah,
you can reap better fruits.
Yeah, and I think I can like build a life from that as well, and I could have greater work experience and, really like take on what I'm seeing. Whereas now, I'm not sure I would be able to, like you said, have that maturity of, really locking in and doing everything I want to do.
Yeah. Is there any questions that I should be asking you which I haven't asked?
I don't think so.
Cool.
I don't think
we covered it, eh?
Yeah, I think we did pretty well.
Awesome. Final message to inspire our youth.
Step forward, not just for yourself, but to show others that they can too. It's probably like my favorite quote. So show up because you want to do it for yourself, but show up to show the other people around you that they can do it too, So everything I do within myself, I do it for myself, but I like to inspire the people around me that they can do it too, regardless of their academic achievements, the way they speak, the way they present themselves, but mainly because they took the time to be there, so others can do it too.
Amazing.
And my favorite quote is probably, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So everyone has talent, of course, but if you don't work hard at it, sometimes, it doesn't show up quite there. So
you got it.
I don't know. I think agree. Everyone should really don't take for granted the time you have now. It's like the best time of your life. That's what everyone says, and I completely agree. But I could be biased because I'm young. But
you're there.
Yeah, really.
That's true, though.
Yeah. Take everything everyone has to say on board. Really push yourself out there. Don't be afraid of what people might think of you. Everyone's always going to have a positive or a negative or a different opinion on you.
Yeah.
But as long as you have the people close to you supporting you, I'm sure you'll be okay.
Amazing. Look, I love that time we had with you.
Awesome.
One last request.
Yep.
Can I pray for you?
Sure.
Okay. So I just want to bless you and also bless your journey.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a light in you that can definitely benefit others. Obviously, it's already benefiting yourself.
Yeah.
And I think you know where you get going and you know where you can get.
Yeah.
I think you're still gonna be able to serve as a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So I just
Before
feel.
you pray, I just want to say a big thank you to Thiago for his support with my ice hockey. He has sponsored me for 3 years now, so without him, I wouldn't be where I am today, everyone. Just saying. Go ahead.
No worries. No, thank you. You've been an inspiration. And as I said, I think to invest in you was greater than to invest into advertising or anything like that. I think the first time I tried to give money to something like that was to I'm thinking about my business, but then I realized, no, hold on, I'm actually investing in the person that will shine and will take something to other people later. So it's been a privilege, really. Let me pray for you.
Much.
Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this time together, Lord. We just want to pray over Manuella and ask you that you bless her, Lord, and that you also protect her, Lord. There's so much that she'll be able to achieve, and also we know that she'll serve as a bridge, as a channel, a conduit where you're gonna bless her, but I'm sure that others will benefit from it too, Lord. So allow her to shine your light. Allow her to take, Lord, her life into your hands, but also that she may see you working through her steps as she get there. So bless her family as well, her plans, and her future, Lord, as she continues to grow and to find out how life unveils before her. In Jesus' name we bless her. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, my darling.
Thank you so much. I've had a great time.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, give your like, and also leave a comment. And remember, stay the course.